Welcome back to the firing line, everybody. Listen, there is a toxic rumor floating around the industry right now. You have probably heard the elitists at the local gun counter claiming that if you do not drop $1,000 on your everyday carry, you are basically walking around unarmed. I have been chewing through brass and running torture tests on this range for decades. And let me tell you right now, a heavy price tag does not automatically buy you reliability when the lead starts flying. We are currently sitting in an absolute renaissance of firearms manufacturing. Modern CNC machining and advanced polymer formulations have completely shattered the old pay-to-play barriers. Today, I am laying my own credibility on the line. We are breaking down 11 affordable sidearms that guarantee you can defend your loved ones and exercise your Second Amendment rights, all for under $300. Whether you need a dedicated truck gun that can take a beating, or a primary inside-the-waistband setup that fires every single time you press the trigger. These 11 defenders deliver maximum ballistic performance without the premium markup. Number 11. The HI.C9. Kicking off our list at number 11 is the pistol that the internet loves to hate, right up until they actually need to pull the trigger. The HI.C9. Look, I am not going to sugarcoat it and tell you this thing is winning any beauty contests. It has the visual appeal and ergonomic profile of a masonry brick, but there is legitimate brutal engineering science backing up all that bulk. This 9mm runs on a straight blowback operating system instead of a modern locked breech. That means the slide has to be exceptionally heavy to keep the chamber sealed until the pressure drops down to safe levels. That massive slide is forged from a dense zinc aluminum alloy known as Zamak. When you are out here on the range, that sheer physical weight acts as a massive shock absorber. I have dumped hundreds of 115-grain full metal jacket rounds through these, and the muzzle rise is shockingly flat because you have a literal block of metal holding the front end down. Because the barrel is permanently pinned to the frame, the mechanical accuracy is surprisingly dialed in. I can effortlessly print 3-inch groups at 15 yards all afternoon. The trigger sits heavy at around 6 pounds with a spongy reset, but it goes bang every time. The absolute biggest selling point? That legendary unconditional lifetime warranty that follows the serial number, not the buyer. Find a busted one at a pawn shop for $100, ship it to the factory, and they will rebuild it for free. It runs a single-stack 8-round magazine. It might not be your first choice for deep concealment, but it is an absolute juggernaut. If you are down to your last few dollars and need a functional tool to protect your home, the C9 will not let you down. Number 10. The Tisas PX9 Gen 3. Stepping into the number 10 slot, we are looking at an absolute game-changer imported directly from Turkey, the Tisas PX9 Gen 3. This striker-fired 9mm is currently turning the American market upside down. When you lock this into your grip, it feels identical to a $600 duty pistol. The frame architecture and CNC machine slide are executed with surgical precision. You get aggressive forward and rear cocking serrations that allow for brutal slide manipulations, even if your hands are slick with gun oil or sweat. They wrap that slide in an incredibly hard Tennifer-style finish that laughs at holster wear and corrosive body salt. The command center of this firearm is the flat-face trigger. It snaps with a crisp 4.5-pound brake and a ridiculously short reset. Running rapid-fire transition drills with this trigger feels like cheating. Logistically, this gun is a massive win because it feeds from standard SIG P226 pattern magazines. You can find those 20-round extended sticks anywhere, from local gun shows to massive online retailers. It ships straight from the factory with an RMR footprint optics cut. You can drop a red dot right onto the slide without paying a gunsmith a dime. The grip geometry features interchangeable side panels and back straps. That is a premium customization feature you usually only see on top-tier Heckler & Koch platforms. The only catch is the factory recoil spring. It comes extremely stiff, so you need to run about 100 rounds of hot 124-grain NATO ammunition to properly mate the internal components. But with a street price hovering right around $279, you are getting an elite striker-fired system for pocket change. Number 9. The Canik METE MC9. Landing at number 9 is a micro-compact that has completely rewritten the rulebook for budget concealed carry. The Canik METE MC9. Most manufacturers strip away premium features to hit that sub-$300 threshold. Canik did the exact opposite. They crammed professional-tier upgrades into a tiny 3 1/8-inch barrel footprint. Do not let the micro-size dimensions trick you into thinking this is hard to shoot. Canik designed the polymer grip module with a deeply aggressive stippling texture that practically bites into your palm. Small guns typically snap hard when you run premium plus P defensive ammunition, but the internal dual-captured coil spring assembly is specifically calibrated to eat that violent rearward energy. You can drive the muzzle back onto the target faster than almost anything else in this price bracket. Let's talk about the trigger. It is arguably the finest out-of-the-box striker trigger in the micro-compact class. You get a clean wall, a glass rod brake, and a highly tactile reset that you can definitively feel during the chaos of a shot timer drill. It comes optics ready with the ability to completely co-witness your iron sights through a micro red dot window. Now, as a professional, I have to point out the break-in requirements. The slide-to-frame tolerances are exceptionally tight. You need to flood the rails with a premium synthetic lubricant and punch a few boxes of heavy 147-grain jacketed hollow points through it to loosen things up. Also, the magazine release button can be a bit rigid on day one, but for a street price of $299, yielding a 15-round capacity and a match-grade trigger feel, it is an absolute steal for your everyday carry rotation. Number 8. The Ruger EC9S. Moving down to number 8, we have the ultimate definition of a reliable, no-nonsense defensive tool, the Ruger EC9S. This is the heavily streamlined, budget-focused descendant of the legendary LC9 series. Ruger managed to shave down the manufacturing costs without sacrificing a single ounce of their renowned American reliability. From a strictly engineering perspective, the EC9S is brilliant in its simplicity. They drastically reduced production time by milling the iron sights directly into the hardened alloy steel slide. While you lose the ability to swap in aftermarket night sights, you gain an incredibly slick, snag-free profile. When you are clearing your cover garment in a high-adrenaline defensive draw, those smooth sights will never hang up on your shirt. The internal striker assembly delivers a clean, consistent pull that feels significantly lighter than its measured 7 pounds. The frame is molded from a rugged, glass-filled nylon composite. This keeps the unloaded weight completely under 18 ounces. You drop this into an inside-the-waistband Kydex rig, and it completely vanishes, even under just a thin summer t-shirt. One standout technical feature is the layered safety system. It pairs an integrated trigger blade safety with a positive manual thumb safety, offering massive peace of mind for newer shooters carrying a live round in the chamber. Out on the firing line, that razor-thin 1-inch width does make the recoil impulse a bit snappy, but the molded-in grip checkering locks it securely into your hand. You are limited to a single stack 7+1 capacity. But at a retail price that often sits around $249, this is an American-made lifesaver that you can comfortably carry all day, every day. Number 7. The Mossberg MC2C. At number 7, we are looking at an absolute sleeper hit that packs some of the most innovative engineering in the budget tier. The Mossberg MC2C. Everyone instantly recognizes Mossberg for their legendary pump-action shotguns, but they injected that exact same hardcore, defensive DNA straight into this compact 9mm. The most impressive technical achievement here is the magazine geometry. Mossberg crafted an ultra-slim grip module that somehow manages to swallow a staggered double-stack magazine. You get a massive 15+1 capacity in a chassis that feels exactly like a skinny single-stack pistol. The grip angle directly mirrors the iconic 1911. When you punch out on target, the sights naturally align with your eye, completely eliminating that upward-pointing bias you get with steeper grip angles. Looking at the upper assembly, it houses a premium stainless steel barrel coated in DLC. That diamond-like carbon finish is normally exclusive to elite custom shotguns. It provides insane resistance to metal-on-metal friction and daily sweat corrosion. The trigger is highly refined, snapping crisply at 5.5 pounds with an aggressive reset. But the crown jewel for safety-conscious shooters is the SDS, or Safe Takedown System. Instead of dry-firing the weapon to unlock the slide, you just pull the striker assembly directly out of the rear plate. It physically removes the firing pin before the gun comes apart, making negligent discharges impossible during maintenance. The only real drawback is the lack of aftermarket holster support. You will have to search a little harder for a good concealment rig, but with a street price hovering right around $289, this is a highly sophisticated, high-capacity protector. Number 6. The Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Gen 1. Sliding into the number 6 position is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the concealed carry world. The original Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Gen 1. Yes, the newer high-capacity plus models are out there, but the Gen 1 remains an absolute titan because it is a proven, battle-hardened platform that has survived millions of rounds across the country. The true brilliance of the Shield is the slimline engineering that started an entire industry revolution. It rocks a 3 1/10-inch barrel and an impossibly thin 1-inch overall width. This was the firearm that proved to the American public that you could carry a potent 9mm that completely disappears under a polo shirt without giving up a solid firing grip. Inside that polymer frame sits an extended rigid stainless steel chassis. That rigid spine is absolutely critical. It totally eliminates polymer frame flex during the violent recoil cycle, keeping the slide rails perfectly aligned for decades of heavy use. When you run this on the range, the recoil management will shock you. Smith & Wesson engineered an extremely low bore axis. That sits the barrel deep down into the web of your hand, directing the recoil straight back rather than flipping the muzzle toward the sky. Now, the factory Gen 1 trigger does have a bit of a rolling, mushy break, and the reset is not as pronounced as a modern competition gun. But you are buying into the most massive aftermarket ecosystem on the planet. Every local gun shop has holsters, spare magazines, and tritium night sights hanging on the pegs. Because it has been around the block, retail prices have absolutely crashed. You can frequently score these for $299 or less. You are not just buying a budget pistol, you are investing in a decade of proven, life-saving reliability. Number 5. The Taurus G3C. At number 5, we have the greatest comeback story in modern firearms history, the Taurus G3C. Let's be brutally honest, Taurus had a rough reputation in the past, but when they launched the G3 series, they completely overhauled their manufacturing tolerances and quality control. They forged a defensive tool that commands absolute respect on the firing line. From a technical standpoint, this compact striker-fired system brings a 12+1 payload to the ultra-budget arena. The carbon steel slide is shielded by a hardcore tenifer treatment. That means you can carry it tightly against your body in a humid 90-degree summer, and it will not rust out on you. But the definitive tactical advantage of this weapon is the second strike capability. If you encounter a hard primer and the gun goes click instead of bang, this unique trigger linkage allows you to simply pull the trigger a second time. You do not have to perform a time-consuming tap rack malfunction clearance. In a violent, high-stress, close-quarters fight, getting that immediate second strike can literally save your life. The frame also features deeply recessed indexing memory pads. These give your trigger finger and your support hand thumb a tactile, repeatable resting place, ensuring your grip is identical every single time you draw. It even ships with factory steel sights that utilize a Glock pattern dovetail cut. That opens the door to thousands of aftermarket fiber optic and night sight upgrades. Range performance is solid, though the trigger does feature a very long take-up before hitting a stiff wall, and the slide-to-frame fit rattles a bit if you shake it. But when we ran accuracy drills, it stacked rounds perfectly in the A-zone at defensive distances. For an incredible street price ranging from $220 to $259, this is a feature-packed warrior. Number 4. The Stoeger STR9. Breaking into the number 4 spot is the dark horse that the tactical community calls the budget Glock killer. The Stoeger STR9. Stoeger operates under the massive Beretta umbrella, and you can absolutely feel that premium European DNA flowing through this platform. This is a full-size, duty-grade striker-fired 9mm that feels like it should cost double its actual price. The core architecture relies on a massive, nitrogen-hardened steel slide. That heavy upper assembly soaks up the violent energy from high-velocity defensive loads, making this one of the flattest tracking pistols I have tested all year. The barrel lockup inside the slide is exceptionally tight. When we run bench rest accuracy tests, this budget brawler routinely outshoots heavily customized pistols that cost north of $700. The ergonomic profile is an absolute masterpiece. The grip module features aggressive traction texturing and perfectly contoured finger grooves that lock your hand into place like a vise. You also get modular backstraps to precisely dial in your trigger reach. Speaking of the trigger, it breaks with a definitive glass-like snap and features a highly audible, aggressive reset. It makes running split-second transition drills an absolute joy. The primary downside here is the proprietary logistical ecosystem. Unlike a Glock, you are locked into using Stoeger-specific holsters and magazines, and those factory magazines can be a little pricey. But when the base gun can be picked up all day long for exactly $299, the value proposition is astronomical. It is an overbuilt, wildly accurate combat pistol perfectly suited for home defense or open carry ranch work. Number 3. The Ruger Security 9. Taking the bronze medal at number 3 is the Ruger Security 9. This is the ultimate answer for the everyday American who needs one single firearm to do absolutely everything. This is not some compromised pocket pistol. It is a robust, mid-size protector that perfectly bridges the gap between a bedside home defense gun and an inside-the-waistband carry piece. Technically, it utilizes Ruger's proprietary secure action system, originally adapted from the LCP-2. What most people do not realize is that this gun is actually hammer-fired. But the hammer is completely shrouded deep inside the rear of the slide, creating a totally snag-free profile. This unique hybrid design gives you the butter-smooth rolling break of a double-action revolver, combined with the aggressive short reset of a modern striker system. On the trigger pull gauge, it consistently snaps at 5 3/4 pounds, but the internal geometry makes it feel significantly lighter on the finger. The upper consists of a massive through-hardened alloy steel slide. It sits on a rugged glass-filled nylon frame complete with a Picatinny rail for your high-lumen weapon lights. The absolute best part about shooting the Security 9 is the recoil mitigation. Between the 4-inch barrel and the sheer mass of the slide, the recoil impulse is incredibly soft and totally manageable. It runs flush-fit 15-round magazines, giving you serious firepower in a profile that is surprisingly flat. The one weak link is the factory sights. They are basic, drift-adjustable polymer blocks. If this is going to live on your nightstand, you need to swap those out for high-visibility steel night sights. But with a retail price consistently ducking under $300, it is a low-maintenance, blue-collar workhorse that will run reliably for thousands of rounds with minimal lubrication. Number 2. The Springfield XD Mod 3. Commanding the number 2 position is a heavy-duty brawler that refuses to compromise on modern tactical capabilities. The Springfield XD Mod 3 OSP. Springfield took their legendary XD architecture, a design that has successfully served law enforcement officers and civilian defenders for decades, and completely supercharged it. And somehow they actually dropped the price tag while adding features. That OSP designation translates to optical sight pistol. Right out of the box, the slide is factory precision milled with a removable optic plate. You can direct mount a micro red dot instantly, usually sending a slide off for custom CNC milling costs as much as this entire firearm. Internally, the Mod 3 utilizes an overhauled striker mechanism paired with a modern flat-faced trigger shoe. The wall is significantly harder and the reset is far more tactile than the old legacy models. The standout tactical feature here is the redundant mechanical safety system. You get an integrated trigger blade safety, working perfectly in tandem with that signature XD passive grip safety. If you want maximum mechanical security while holstering, without having to sweep off a manual thumb safety under extreme stress, This is your gun. The frame features aggressive, deeply molded grip texturing that locks into your hands perfectly, even in a torrential downpour. The major trade-off here is the overall thickness. This is a chunky, substantial block of steel and polymer. You absolutely must run a rigid gun belt and a premium Kydex holster to keep it hidden. But with an MSRP of roughly $325 and street prices easily dipping below the $300 mark, it is a steal. It features a fully supported chamber, ready to safely handle a steady diet of heavy plus P defensive ammunition. Number 1. The PSA Dagger, taking the absolute top spot on our countdown, is the firearm that completely vaporized the budget market rulebook. I am talking about the Palmetto State Armory PSA Dagger. This is not just another cheap entry-level pistol, it is a highly aggressive, deeply refined evolution of the legendary Gen 3 Glock 19 architecture. Calling it a mere clone is a massive insult to the engineering team. Technically, the Dagger takes that bulletproof, proven operating system and wraps it in a severely upgraded ergonomic package. The polymer frame boasts an aggressive trigger guard undercut and an elongated rear bever tail. This allows you to jam your shooting hand incredibly high up on the bore axis. That high grip is the absolute secret weapon for driving the gun flat during high-speed, rapid-fire transition drills. The slide is machined from hardcore stainless steel and coated in an impenetrable black nitride finish. They also cut deep, aggressive forward and rear cocking serrations that put standard factory Glock slides to shame. The reason this gun is flying off the shelves is the modularity. It is entirely compatible with the massive Gen 3 Glock aftermarket. Do you want to drop in a highly polished competition trigger group? Go ahead. Want to hammer in some suppressor height tritium sights? It takes 5 minutes. These guns constantly ship optics ready from the factory. Precut for standard RMR footprint dots, and they run flawlessly on standard 15-round Glock pattern magazines, which you can buy at literally any sporting goods store in America. The only slight hiccup we found during our exhaustive 30,000-round torture test was a brief break-in period. Because PSA builds these with extremely tight machine tolerances, you need to blast a few heavy magazines of standard 115-grain ball ammo to properly lap the rails and striker assembly. But once those parts mate, it becomes an absolute unstoppable hammer. For a price tag that routinely sits perfectly at $299, this is the ultimate working-class defender. It is a platform that can start as a bare-bones stock gun and infinitely evolve alongside your tactical skill set. There you have it, folks. 11 incredibly capable defensive tools that absolutely destroy the myth that you have to take out a second mortgage to properly arm yourself. From the hyper-concealable Ruger EC9S all the way to the duty-grade Red Dot Ready PSA Dagger. The firearms industry is producing higher quality, lower-cost guns right now than at any point in history. Budget absolutely does not mean defenseless anymore. The next time you hit the flat range, I want you to run a strict failure to stop drill. Draw from concealment. Drive 2 rounds straight into the high center thoracic cavity, and transition 1 round up into the ocular window at exactly 7 yards. Put yourself on a shot timer and find out exactly how these budget triggers handle high-stress resets. If this deep dive tactical breakdown helped you out today, smash that like button right now. It appeases the algorithm gods and keeps the lights on here at the range so we can keep destroying perfectly good brass for your entertainment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more hardcore, no-nonsense reviews on the gear that actually matters. And before you click away, hit the comments down below. If the grid went down tomorrow and you had to bet your family's life on just one of these $300 blasters, which one is going inside your waistband? Sound off in the comments section. Until next time, keep your powder dry and stay sharp.